Hi, Lucia. My name is Ellen, and I will be correcting these essays for you. I'm happy to see that you've begun writing for us, so let's take a look at what you've done. Okay, schools, should they be more entertaining? Let's see. Nowadays, there is an ongoing debate on whether education, get rid of program, should be unchanged or some changes should be made for scholars to enjoy scholar years more. All right, you've got to change some of this language here. It's inaccurate and it's just kind of awkward. So it's hard to kind of call children in school, or rather school-age children, scholars. I understand what you're trying to do. You want to use some new vocabulary, but it's not really appropriate. It's not natural. So, also you just, all right, let's see. There is an ongoing debate on whether education should remain unchanged or if some changes should be made for children to enjoy their school years more. That's better. I believe classical education should be challenged with introducing more enjoyable features for studying. This essay will discuss both views using examples from the European Education Act and BBC News to demonstrate points and support arguments. Okay, so this essay is asking you which you agree with. It says it right here. So you've told us which you agree with. You've already said it. So my question is, since you've told us that you think entertainment should be added, I'm curious as to why you're going to talk to us about school needing to be a place of academic education only. So here's what I mean. You can certainly talk about both views. In fact, I actually prefer essays that do that. However, in your introduction, you need to make it clear as to why you are doing this. Is there some value in the idea of leaving schools unchanged and having them as places only for academic education? So if you see some value in that opinion, you need to indicate that in your introduction. Otherwise, you could tell us why you think this is a terrible idea. Okay, but you really do need to indicate it in your introduction, because when it asks you which do you agree with, and then you tell us that you're going to talk about the side that you don't agree with, it's not really clear to us why you would do that. So as long as you indicate the why in your introduction, you're okay. So just to kind of recap, you could say, this essay will, no, let's do it up here. I believe uh, that, I wouldn't call it classical, I would call it traditional. I believe that traditional education uh, should continue. However, more enjoyable features should be added to it. Okay, that makes sense, kind of. Kind of. We'll talk about it more as we continue. The reason I say kind of is because um, you're essentially agreeing with this side, okay? Whereas the other side says only educate. That's it, just academics and leave the fun out of it. So, do you understand what I'm saying? It's not really clear why you're going to talk to us about both. So, let's see what you did. On the one hand, the main aim of schools remains preparing youngsters for adulthood, teaching them discipline and general knowledge in different subjects. Obviously, there is no doubt uh, that, I want a that here, that the primary purpose of education should be unchanged, as education is the energy for a healthy society. Nice. To take as an example, one of the most beneficial rules implemented by the majority, to take as an example, one of the most beneficial rules implemented by the majority of European governments, this is confusing me, is compulsory school attendance until the age of 16. The legal obligation is crucial for today's society, fighting with illiteracy and direct. I don't understand the sentence. This legal obligation is crucial for today's society. Uh, to fight illiteracy and impact society's well being. I don't really know about this sentence. Even though I tried to clean up the grammar, it still kind of feels awkward. Um, then I want to go to actually what you wrote. So this for me was not the greatest example you could use. Great. So school is compulsory until 16, but why does that support the idea of academic only education? Do you understand? You could have entertainment in the class as well and still have compulsory education until 16. So I'm not really sure how these two, so how this and this connect. So I don't think this was the strongest argument you could have used. Um, let's see. Education is the engine for a healthy society. Um, I mean, this paragraph is supposed to focus on academic only. So maybe you could say that if we want a society that has well-educated members to advance the world we live in, we must make sure they are armed with the appropriate education. This can only be achieved in an institution where academics are strongly taught or strongly encouraged, something like that. Okay, so that would have made more sense than what you have here. I don't really feel like this example of education until 16 really helping. Okay, all right, let's continue. On the other hand, a more delightful school curriculum would significantly increase pupils' academic achievement. Not nevertheless, that's the wrong word here. A child is more likely to learn, memorize, and self tasks if they do not feel they are oppressed. You could have said in fact, because what you're doing is just essentially supporting this. Okay. For instance, a recent experiment in education carried by an American high school teacher appeared on the BBC News as a result of I don't understand this, unprecedented A-level results in 90% of all scholars. All right, this sentence is awkward. I appreciate the idea, but it's written awkwardly. So let's try it again. For instance, a recent experiment in education carried out by an American high school teacher showed unprecedented A-level results in 90% of all students, I would have said here. All right, I'm still having trouble with this. I feel like the order of your ideas is not really helping here. Let me see. The main purpose of the experiment was combining the educational program with daily fun games and activities, followed by weekly competitions with little rewards. Not little, with small rewards. Um, so I really want to change this around. I mean, I like what you're trying to do, but as I said, it was a little awkward. So I'd like to kind of revise this section. So why don't we do this? For instance, a recent experiment in education carried out by an American high school, a recent experiment combined the educational program with daily fun and games and activities, followed by weekly competitions with small prizes. Period. The result is that these students scored unprecedented A levels, or 90% of these students scored unprecedented A level, um, scored scored unprecedented A level results. Okay, so do you understand what I'm trying to do? Because I'm doing it verbally, it's not as fluent as I would like, but I think you get my point about how I think these ideas should be ordered. Okay. Therefore, even though the education purpose should not jeopardize its classic role of developing, guiding, and preparing children for their future adult life, I don't know what's going on here. You have even, and then you have though over here. So I'm confused. Let me try it again. Therefore, the purpose of education, no, therefore, Education should not jeopardize its classic role of developing, guiding, and preparing children for their future adult life, though, you don't need a comma here, a much more pleasant approach to the school syllabus would be beneficial for both, no comma here, children's academic results and the quality of their studying. Okay. In conclusion, based on the examples and arguments listed for both opinion advocates, I don't like that, both opinion advocates, it's rather awkward. Based on the examples and arguments listed above, I strongly agree with the proponents of making education more entertaining as it can make studying more appealing with outstanding academic performance. Okay, that's fine. So yeah, I mean, for me, this essay is definitely on the right track. You're doing a lot of things right. The structure of your ideas is of your entire essay, I should say, is correct. What I want you to change for sure is your position statement here, because it really doesn't need to indicate what is in your two body paragraphs. Okay, you had this whole paragraph about how education should remain academic only and the importance of that. So you needed to indicate that rather than just saying that you're going to discuss both sides. You needed to say, I believe that academic only education has its merits. However, it would benefit from including more enjoyable features. Okay, so something like that would have worked here because it essentially encapsulates what you've written in these two paragraphs. Okay, all right, so let's continue and make sure that your support matches the idea, and also make sure your ideas are organized appropriately. So what we had in that first essay was some issues with task achievement, coherence and cohesion, and then some grammatical things, okay? Now let's take a look at the essay about doing enjoyable activities for skills development. Let's say, in recent times, there is, not it is, in recent times, there is an ongoing debate on whether children accomplish skills, not thinking, skills via reading or more from the activities they like to do along with an adult. This essay will analyze both views and use examples from the UK Department for Education and the National Survey of Education to demonstrate points and prove arguments. Okay, let's talk about this. This essay is asking you, to what extent do you agree? You have not told me. You just told me you're going to discuss both views. So that's not going to help your task achievement score. And the reason why I say that is because if you look at the band descriptors for band 7 under task achievement, you'll see that it says presents a clear position throughout the essay, throughout, which means from the beginning to the end. So how do you create a clear position from the beginning? By telling us what it is in the introduction. Okay, again, it says, to what extent do you agree? So you need to indicate that. Okay, maybe you agree 100%, maybe you agree 50%, maybe you think there's a place for both reading and activities. So you have to tell us that in your introduction. All right, let's keep going. To begin with, reading does indeed influence children's cognitive development. This is largely because through reading, children can develop a vast vocabulary and boost their imagination upon the characters, not upon. How about through? Boost their imagination through the characters, places, and actions narrated in the books. Fine. For example, a recent study from the UK Department of Education has shown that from 70% of primary school pupils with A levels, 90% are reading at least 15 pages a day besides their curriculum. Okay. Therefore, reading has a direct impact on children's learning, memorizing, and inventiveness abilities. Okay. Fine. All right. I'm okay with that. You did say inventiveness. All right, because you said imagination, so creativity you covered as well. Fine. Undoubtedly, reading has lots of benefits on children's development, although there are other activities that can boost children's brain capabilities, especially because a large amount of dopamine is secreted by the brain when someone is doing something with pleasure, triggering, consequently, all functions of the brain involving thinking, focus, and imagination. Wow. sentence is a little too long. Check it out. Look where it started, look where it ended. It's like 5 lines long. So there are a couple of things that happen when you write a sentence that's so long. The first thing you do is it can be challenging to the reader. The second thing it does is it really sets you up for making some mistakes. So I prefer if you could have broken this down into 2 sentences, okay? So let me show you what I mean. Undoubtedly, reading has lots of benefits on children's development, although there are other activities that can boost children's brain capabilities, period. This is because a large amount of dopamine is secreted by the brain when someone is doing something with pleasure, triggering, consequently, all the functions of the brain involving, I would have gotten rid of this comma, involving thinking, focus, and imagination. Okay? To me, it's much more manageable like that. And then it's also a great example of cohesion because instead of this especially, you wrote a new sentence and it said, this is because, with the this referring to everything you just said. Okay. Moreover, an adult's direct implication in some activity contributes to the child or a child's sense of integrity, equality, and support. For instance, according to the National Survey of Education in Great Britain in 2022, 87% of children reported finding family activities such as building Legos, baking, careful no C, baking cookies, and playing football games with one of their parents being their favorite activities. In consequence, some appealing and fun activities, not funny, fun activities done side by side with adults uplift skills children need for their thinking and development. All right, I didn't see anything about creativity here. And let's see, you said imagination, but you never actually went into it at all. So I'm trying to understand where you talked about skills. Thinking, focus, and imagination. Yeah, so what are the skills being gained? I mean, okay, brain capabilities, but it's a little general. So I definitely wanted something um, a little more specific, thinking, focus, and imagination. Yeah, it doesn't really seem particularly focused. So to give you an idea of what I'm talking about, I would have liked to see something like, drawing, holding a pen, holding a brush. This helps develop children's fine motor skills while also allowing them to explore their creativity. Okay. So that's the kind of example I mean. Or you could have talked about, you said something about football, I think. Yeah, football games. What does football do? It helps develop sportsmanship. It helps keep children physically fit and also develop some of their gross motor skills. Okay. So that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about. I would have liked this to have been a little more focused, a little more targeted in terms of skills. Okay. To conclude, albeit both reading and enjoyable activities based on the given arguments and examples have wouldn't have written albeit here. We don't use albeit like this. So to conclude, although both reading and enjoyable activities based on the given arguments and examples have a positive impact on children's cognition, in my opinion, children would benefit more from activities they like to do as the activities, can not only develop all the necessary development skills, I don't like development and develop, but create, without two, a much stronger bond with their families. So I don't know if you noticed this, but again, your conclusion is 1 sentence. It's risky and it had mistakes. So this just kind of highlights what I said earlier. And I really don't think you should write your sentences like this. Break it into at least 2. So to conclude, to conclude, both reading and enjoyable activities based on the arguments and examples have a positive impact on children's cognition, period. In my opinion, children would benefit more, etc., etc. Okay, so that's how I would do this. So you did some really nice things in this set. I'm really happy. Okay, I think it's a great start. So I need you to kind of work on some of the things that were discussed in this essay as far as coherence and cohesion, task achievement, and then some of those little grammatical things. Okay, but it looks like you have a nice level of English. And so we're talking about test taking skills, writing skills, and together we'll work on them. Okay, so go ahead, correct these, return them back to us corrected. With your corrections, don't forget your new set of essays and also begin your error correction list. Okay, I'll meet back here with you when you write your next set. Good luck.